Good afternoon. Excited to be here. Got, again, signing day coming up in less than 24 hours. Looking forward to that class, and excited to finally get the schedule out in the open. And worked on it for a while, and we've known about it. So excited to get that out there and get it to the public and let them start circling games and knowing who's coming to town, knowing where we're traveling to in 2025. But definitely going to be a challenging schedule. Southland Conference is a tough conference, and looking at the teams we got at home and on the road, we're going to play the top teams in the conference this year. And so we're excited to get the challenge rolling and get rolling this spring and see how we're going to be. But other than that, we'll answer any questions.
Coach, first Southland Conference game against Southeastern. Just your overall thoughts on that game.
Definitely one of the toughest teams in the conference. They play well at home. Again, a lot of familiarity with our staff and the conference. So that's going to be a tough challenge right off the bat. And we have our first road game at Prairie View right after game one. That's going to be a challenge in itself. But to open up conference play at Southeast, we'll find out how quick, kind of where we stand going to that one.
Can you talk about how good it is to, in this first year, have kind of the stacked home schedule, 7 home games as opposed to 5 road games, getting to just play in front of the fans more in this first year for the program?
Definitely. Again, a chance at the excitement down here, and then kind of building that schedule early on. There's only one Division I on the non-conference schedule, but be able to get those at home and have one in Brownsville as well, and really to kind of get as many games on our belt as we can before we jump into this conference slate.
Is there any games that you're going to feel that's going to be more challenging than others?
At this point, I think they're all going to be pretty challenging. We don't, again, we haven't had our first spring. We don't know what our final roster is going to look like. So a lot of the teams in the conference are sitting here with an idea of how they're going to stack up and how they're going to be. We don't know that yet. We got to get through this spring and see what our roster is going to look like. And but we know what the conference is about. We know what some of our non-conference games is about. So right now, you see the countdown clock outside. We're focused on Sul Ross, and that's game number one, and that's the game we're going to focus on, and being the best we can be in game number one.
What were your priorities in stacking up that non-conference schedule? What were you looking for in terms of the opponents you're coming with?
Really, it's kind of an unknown. I mean, people are going to look at the paper and say, well, you're playing non-Division I's. Well, again, we made this schedule with not knowing what kind of team we're going to have in year one. We did the same thing, again, at UTSA, a little different when we opened that one. The first year, we weren't in a conference. We weren't even in a division. So we played the random D2, D3, FCS schedule, kind of just a renegade schedule. And I mean, as a young team, and people remember us winning the first game against Division II Northeast Oklahoma and come right back and get beat by D3 McMurray at home. But not knowing where we're going to be, I think again we have the ability to kind of have some upperclassmen here on this first roster. So, but really just kind of an unknown of what we're going to be this first year.
When you look at the Southland Conference and you got faces on those opponents that you're going to be facing this year, how much digging into have you guys done and coaching staff done as to preparation as to what type of football it takes to win there and compete in the Southland?
Well, I think you're going to you'll see a lot of that with some of the guys we release in tomorrow's signing class and some of the guys we've got in campus. And again, it's very competitive, and we're gonna have to have some upperclassmen on our roster to compete. So there's still. Again, looking at things we got to do this spring, looking at our spring training schedule, looking at again some roster management and to continue to build the roster in April. There's some things we can do to get in the mix and have a chance, but it's some of these teams are very very talented. You look at Southeast, looking at Garnet Ward. Of course, they've won the conference, and SFA's back in the top. Nichols, McNeese, they're going to be solid. So it's always tough. And then I think that's where you look at the conference too, is it gets so competitive, and teams end up beating each other. And we've only had one team really dominate and go to the playoffs, or you don't see a couple of teams dominating every year. There's always, you have our champion with the automatic bid, but then so many teams are good and they beat each other, we can't get that second bid because we have so many losses. But that's part of just being in that competitive conference.
And you touched on the countdown clock, counting down to August 30th against Sul Ross. Personally, for you, Coach, just what excites you most about getting to August 30th and walking on to Vaquer Field and there at Vaquer Stadium and really getting this thing going?
It's going to be really just when you envision what that day is going to be like and what it's going to be for the Valley and this university, and the excitement in the air and everybody that's going to be involved. It's not just about the game. It's not the players. It's not the coaches. It's everybody in the stands, everybody in the tailgates, everybody that's barbecuing out there, everyone watching on live stream. So everybody, it's going to be a historic day. It's going to be fun. And again, just the thousands of times we visualized that day and working for that day. But having been there, we've lived and talked about this day for 2-3 years, and we're going to get through this first day, and lo and behold, we got to get ready for another game in 3 days. So it's gonna that's where that turnaround and that reality of this schedule comes into play. Is 6 days later we're on the road for our first road game.
Coach, to get your review A&M, a FCS D1 opponent, just how difficult was that to get on the schedule, knowing that you guys are going to be the first-year program and they're a well-established FCS D1 program playing in the SWAC?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we were getting a lot of phone calls from everybody. Everybody kind of wants to get in on this, but no, it was good. I think, and again, that'll give us a test too. They're a competitive football team. We've had some battles with them and some familiarity in the past. So first road trip for a young team, and to play our first FCS team, we'll get a gauge early. We wanted to get somebody before we hit the conference. We wanted to get at least one FCS on the schedule. You look at even Texas Wesleyan. They're a power program in their division. So we've got some competitive non-conference games to get us ready for conference.
Coach, how did you, obviously, Incarnate were coming in here, a conference champion. Was there any convincing to do to accept them to come here instead of you guys playing?
Yeah, well, that's all. The conference does that. Yeah, so the conference, we got 4 home, 4 away, so the conference handles that. We don't have a say in that. Now next year we'll probably flip it. 26, I think the whole schedule will flip, and now we'll go back there, and we'll see the teams that were on the road. They'll come here in 26.
Coach, still have obviously 207 days to get ready for that opener, but in terms of where you just feel like the team's at now, how things have gone for you the last few months, you feel like you guys are on schedule where you wanted to be at this point to be ready for that first season?
Yeah, I think, I mean, no doubt we'll be ready. We'll just see how we stack up. The next few months will tell, how relevant we're going to be early on. But I tell you what, the mentality in this room is how fast can we speed up this process? And we, got a new roster this spring, and they're out there working in off season, and just seeing them in the weight room and watching the toughness, the mentality, the competitiveness that's being built out there on a daily basis. And you listen to them, and they're not talking about process. They're talking about winning. And so that's the mindset here. And again, we've got a lot of work to do. We got 207 days, but they'll be ready.
Hey, Coach, just looking at the schedule, Houston Christian, first home game, Southland Conference game. Can I just get your thoughts on that real quick?
That'll be huge. I mean, the big thing you talk about, and as we get through this program, I guess our pyramid's covered, but one of our program goals is to compete for championships every year, and that'll always be the mentality. But to win a conference championship, you got to win home. You got to win your home games, and you got to find a way to win on the road, and that's usually the toughest thing in this level in conference. As you get used to it, we're going to be packed house, 12,000 people at Vaquer Stadium week 1, and then we got to go on the road, and we might have 300, 400 fans there, and we don't have our band, and we don't have those things that you're used to, and you got to create your own energy on the road. But being able to take an 8-hour bus ride up to Commerce and those places at SFA, and being able to handle those environments. So, but definitely got to win at home to have a chance. That's our first home game. That's our first home conference game. But you got to circle those as games that you got to find a way to win.
And just to follow up on Incarnate Word, they've kind of been they've established themselves in the Southland Conference. Just how excited are you to kind of put yourselves up against Incarnate?
Good, yeah. Coach Killow is a good friend, and we run a very similar offense. We exchange a lot of ideas. In fact, even knowing we're in the same conference, he allowed me to go to some of their training camp practices this year, and before we started practicing. So definitely, they do a lot of great things in the program that we've gotten we've gotten some ideas from. So again, we'll be excited, but we definitely, our goal is to be the best in this conference at some point. So we've got to stack up and stand up and play the best.
Coach, you mentioned, the process of jumpstarting, a football program back at UTSA. Do you feel like here at UTRGV you have maybe like more of a head start compared to what you had?
Yeah, we've had some idea, different things, ways, hadn't done it once to come back and do it better. I mean, you look at the facilities we have and having facilities right off the bat, which has helped in this recruiting process, which has helped us get these, we got guys coming in, from Power 5 schools and, Big 12 schools and places like that, and looking at our facilities and being very comparable. So that stuff has helped get them in. Again, you look at the transfer portal, which we did not have when we kicked off that first year. We had redshirt freshmen and true freshmen. Now, depending on how we can build this roster over the next few months to be able to line up and have seniors, juniors, sophomores, and have a normal roster as quickly as we can, and that's going to be the goal.